This week, I went through my biggest crisis, I think, of my entire life. The same kind of thing. I had to learn to forgive. Pastor Ken knows very well the rage I was feeling. My grandbaby Emily was born in a very traumatic way. I almost lost my daughter through it. She almost bled to death. It was a terrible, terrible delivery that shouldn't have been that way. Anyway, it was very, very, very bad circumstance. And I had such a rage against this doctor that I really literally wanted to kill her. I was so angry. They called security on me. They wanted to have me arrested. I was wanting to come at her throat. I was so angry. And I've never been that mad in my life, ever. I hope to never be that mad again. But I called him and I had to have a lot of prayer, and it took me a while to forgive this doctor, and I did. I prayed for her, and I prayed for her that God would help her.
Did you do the recipe?
I did the recipe.
Somebody shut that door.
Amen. I did find out just this week that she's no longer practicing as an OB doctor anymore. But anyway, that being said, God has used that terrible circumstance. As it was, as bad as my daughter was injured, she should have never, ever been able to carry another child, as bad as she was damaged. She was told that. When she got pregnant, they checked her over. She's been in a high-risk pregnancy program now, and they've checked her over, and she's carried this child just fine. They were really concerned that she'd be able to do that. She's done great.
Thank God. Lord.
They're watching her very closely. They're not going to let her go overdue. They're not going to let the child get too big like they did before, and they're not going to let complications set in like they did before. She's in a whole different circumstance, so it's not going to be like that. Praise Jesus, it's going to be all right, you know.
Yes.
So we're believing that everything's going to be fine. The baby was born with a severe heart defect. You know, I had to deal with a lot of emotions through all this. And yes, I was mad at God. Boy, was I mad at God. I was enraged at God. I went through a lot of grief. It took me months to get through this. And there was a lot of grief. And that's okay. God is a big God.
It was a journey.
It was a journey. And He can handle it. If you're mad at God, go ahead and tell Him you're mad. He can handle it.
Yes.
He will patiently work you through it.
Yes.
And He will stand there and He will love you through it.
Amen.
Okay.
I won't let her finish, but my kids came to me, my little bitty kids, especially one of them, when they were a little bit. Daddy, I hate you. I said, okay, well, go and play. They're kids. You know what? Robbie, you were a kid, and God saw you were His kid. And you know what? God knows where we're at, and He loves us right where we are.
He knew I still loved Him, but I was hurt, you know. Because I had prayed, and we had all prayed that God would get Him, and I felt like He let me down, you know. Emily's gone through 3 surgeries, and she's been through 2 other cardiac procedures. She's doing well.
Thank you, Jesus.
God has used this situation for the good.
Yes, He does.
Amen. He did mean it for evil. But Dana has, of course, she's been a missionary since she was 18. This turned around she was a missionary in a different way. She was teaching English as a second language. She was working with Muslim women, teaching them English. She was teaching them about Christianity. She was doing a lot of things. She could no longer work in that capacity. She had to stay home and take care of Annie. But now she's at home, but she works through internet in different ways. But she ministers to other parents that have children with congenital heart defects, and she ministers a lot. And she's still a missionary. That it hasn't stopped. It's just changed her focus. God is just redirected her in a different way, you know. God has just put her in a different, and God is just using this situation to minister. He's going to use Emily to minister.
Right.
God has put this thing that Satan meant for evil, and he's going to make it for good, you know. Whatever comes in the future is going to be okay, you know. Like I said, it took me a long time to come around to this. And I know that whatever he's putting you all through, and we all go through terrible, terrible things. We all face them. But and it's okay. You're going to grieve. You're going to be mad. You're going to go. There's stages of grief. You're going to be angry. You're going to bargain. You're going to be depressed. They're going to go through all these things. These are normal grief stages, and God will walk you through it.
Yes,
this
He
is
will.
normal grief. You got to go
Yes, He
through
will.
it.
Hallelujah.
But just remember that God's
Thank
going
you,
to
Lord.
walk you through it, and He'll love you through it. Just stay close to God and believe and pray. And at the end of it, you're going to praise the Lord and say, hey, at the end of it, you walk through the storm, and you're going to look back, and you can see where He's been with you every step of the way.
And Tammy's already a testimony.
Yes, she is. Well, thank you, Lord, through this storm.
Oh, yeah, I do want
Oh,
to, yes.
Please, David, like David said, please, we want to thank everybody for helping raise the money to get me to London. For everybody that's helped and contributed to get me the plane fare to London so I can be with her to help her through this one too.
Amen.
Their facilities as far as a hospital isn't so good, and they really need me to be there. They don't have nurses' aides, so therefore, like after Emily was born, the next day I got there, she hadn't been bathed, Dana hadn't been bathed. If you can't physically get out of bed to walk out to the hall to get your own food, you don't get to eat. If you don't bring your own soap, you don't bring your own sheets, well, you're just out of luck. You know, you gotta have someone to be an advocate for you. And Andy has to work to keep food on the table, so she desperately needs somebody there to help her. And I appreciate your help that I can be there to take care of her. I thank you.
God met your need financially, didn't He?
Anyway, we were talking at lunch the other day, and I began to talk about testimonies, the pastor, and how, you know, God can do things for us, and after a while we just kind of tend to forget about it.
Yeah.
And then He'll do something else, and we'll forget about it. And, you know, as we were sitting there, I began to think about things, and I told him, I said, you know, the devil will take you out if he can.
Come on, man.
And he'll take you out young.
Talk about it.
And the younger the better as far as he's concerned. You know, if he can stop you from doing what God's called you to do, to be able to stand and testify to people, tell them about your healings and the things that He's brought you through, He's going to shut you up.
Amen.
And as we were talking, I told him, I said, well, you know, when I was 30 years old, I was in the hospital 4 times that year with pneumonia. Then I was diagnosed with COPD. And I was healed. My lungs were totally and completely healed. I've had lung scans and all kinds of stuff. There's absolutely nothing. Yeah, there is nothing wrong with either one of my lungs.
Tell about the spot. How it disappeared.
I was at a Kim Clemens meeting at Christ Church of the Heartland. And this was right after I was diagnosed. And my doctors told me then to either stop smoking or die. So of course I stopped. And I was at the meeting, and he was on the stage, and he began to describe my situation. And I stood there, and I didn't step out, and I didn't step out, and I began to shake all over.
Amen.
And I kept standing there, and I still didn't step out. And then when I did step out into the aisle, another woman had stepped onto the stage to claim the healing for her husband that wasn't there. Well, I continued to stand in the aisle. I had such heat come into my body that I could barely breathe. And I didn't know at the time what was going on. And I left the service with my aunt. As we were going home, I began to tell her, and she laughed, and she said, "You don't know what that was?" And I said, "No." She said, "You were healed." That's exactly what that was. God healed you. That's what the heat was that went into your lungs. Well, then, of course, I went back to the doctor. They run more tests, and nothing was there. No COPD, no spots, nothing. Well, then a few years on down the road, I started having some trouble with my heart. They told me I had an enlarged heart. They told me I had mitral valve prolapse. They told me I had an irregular heartbeat. And I was going to have to go in and have some serious tests done. Well, I came to church here one Sunday night. We were having a revival or something. And I came forward, and Webster Aker laid hands on me and prayed for me to have a new heart. This was on a Sunday night. Monday I went in, I had the test. Tuesday I went into the doctor, and he told me they could find nothing wrong with my heart. It wasn't enlarged. There's no mitral valve prolapse. There was nothing. That it was normal. Well, now a few more years on down the road again.
Hallelujah!
They gave me some medication at the doctor's office. I took one dose. Had a severe allergic reaction. Started coughing up mouths full of blood. It cut my air off. I went into toxic shock. I had tunnel vision. Couldn't breathe. Got to the hospital. And I was so bad they didn't know what to do with me. I remember opening my eyes, and there was doctors and nurses all around my bed. Almost died. Because of one pill. And God brought me through it. Then we progressed a few more years.
Journey. It's a journey. Faith
And this
journey.
was 10 years
Faith.
ago.
Faith. Faith.
Yeah, faith. I guess it was about 10 years ago. For about 2 years, I was sick every time you turned around. I had to go into the doctor and get shots for bad headaches and stuff. Finally, I told the doctor, I said, I can't keep taking the shots. And he agreed. So I went in and I had a scan done. They called me and told me I had a large mass or a tumor on my brain. And I asked the girl 3 times, and she repeated it to me. Of course, it freaked me out. Pastor Ken was in Oklahoma, and so at a conference, him and Nancy, he asked me what I wanted him to do. And I said, I want to be anointed with oil and prayed for. So he said, be at the church at 8 o'clock. I'll set everything up. So at 8 o'clock, I came to the church. There was quite a few people here. I don't remember exactly who all, but I sat on a bench back in the youth center, and they began to pray for me. And several of them had oil, and they started anointing my head. Well, I was in the zone because I didn't know what was going on around me. I really did not. And my brother was with me, standing right beside me, and he said, Vic, I don't know what happened, but about 15 minutes into that, every light in town went out. He said, then people didn't even stop praying. He said they went and got candles and flashlights in the other room, and they just kept on praying. And he said the power of God was so strong in there as everybody was praying for you, you know. Well, 7:30 the next morning, I went back and had a scan done. And as I was laying there on the table, I had a doctor, and I had 2 nurses with me. And they were afraid I was going to have a reaction to the dye, of course. But as I was laying there, they kept talking to me about cancer. And they talked to me about multiple myeloma. That's the type of cancer that my mother had. And the whole time they're saying this, I'm laying there and my spirit's saying, no, I will not have cancer. No, I will not. Well, they did the test. The next day, I called them back. The girl who answered the phone was the same one who had called me a day or so ahead of time and gave me the bad results. And she told me, she said, I'm so glad that I get to give you this report. She said, we got the report back. There is no mass. There is no tumor.
Praise God.
The scan was normal.
Amen.
There's nothing there.
Amen.
Praise God.
And you know,
Come on.
I know some of you believe in healing.
Amen.
But sometimes I think until you see someone healed or it's you, do you really, really believe that God can heal you?
Amen. Amen.
I know He can. You know, the enemy's tried to take me out numerous times. And I know it was the enemy. There's no doubt about it. Because of the things that I had thrown at me. A lot of people wouldn't have survived it. But you know, I depend on God for everything. For every breath I take. For everything in my life. I pray about everything. No matter how big or how small it is. And you know, when you have a testimony where you've been healed, like Brother Harry and Robbie, they both received miracles.
Amen.
Both of them have. You know, you need to stand up. You need to tell people when you meet them on the street, in the store, at church. I don't care where you see them. You need to share it. People need to know
Yeah.
what God's about, what He can do, and what His power is all about. Because we serve a mighty, mighty God.
Mighty God.
A mighty God. And there's not anything that He can't do for us.
That's right.
There's nothing that He can't do. Nothing He can't accomplish. There's nothing impossible for Him. Nothing.
Amen. Hallelujah. Bless the Lord.